It's recording again if you want to start. Taylor, I think you're muted.
I was. Oh my gosh. I had to mute the toddler who's crying. So this is part 2 discussion for December 3rd. Sorry, guys. Chapter 17, Law of Priority, and Chapter 18, Law of Sacrifice. Okay. I'm like, oh no, she's crying, guys. All right. So what stood out to you guys? What is there, was there something in Law of Priorities or Law of Sacrifice that stood out to you and you thought, oh man, like I haven't actually thought about what I'm willing to sacrifice in this business or what my non-negotiables are? Have you thought about what it's going to cost you to reach your goals? What the trade-off is, that return on investment, and yeah, what stood out to you guys? All right, guys, someone has to go. But oh, go ahead,
Erin's
Jackie.
on. Never mind, Erin. You can go if you want. I don't care.
Oh, well, either way, do you want to go first? I don't want to leave my girl Tay hanging, so I was like, I gotta say something. It just reminded me of actually a podcast. You guys know that attrition call that we listened to recently with Michelle? I can't remember the name of the gal who has the podcast, but she came out with another podcast that I listened to, I think on Sunday, and it was about discipline discomfort. So it kind of goes along. Yeah, Kristen Boss. Thank you. So she has another good one, and it's about discipline discomfort, but she kind of talks about that here, and I think it was like a good reminder for me, but she kind of just alludes to those kind of small sacrifices, like, are you willing to sacrifice your Netflix so that you can do this IPA, which might not seem like it's giving you anything, but there's going to be a return on investment if you continue to invest your time in it. So I was just kind of thinking about that, and then sacrifice the Netflix. I haven't watched This Is Us yet, and I'm behind on that. So I don't know what I'm saying, to be honest, right now. I feel like my brain is super frazzled, but I know that I really needed to listen to this, because sometimes what happens to me at the end of the month, especially when there's like a lot of momentum, it's really easy to go into the beginning of another month and be super burnt out and frazzled and frustrated, and not, for me, it's just like a lack of sleep because I don't prioritize that. So it was really important for me to listen to this chapter about sacrifice, especially, just because I think at the end of the month I get frazzled, and then I find that I'm not feeling grateful and not taking action with the proper mindset. And so, don't sacrifice your sleep, Rochelle says. I think that's where my problem has been, because if I sacrifice my sleep, I'm kind of like a frazzled idiot. But it was just good for me to listen to this and just think of all that I'm grateful for, so that it can help me to get in the right mindset and to be willing to make the sacrifice for these big goals and to believe in these big goals. So that's all I got. I didn't want to leave Tay hanging. You guys are great. Way better than me right now. Frazzled mess.
You're a beautiful mess, and we love you, One thing I was thinking about as I was listening to Taylor and all of you in these chapters is, the prioritizing and the sacrifice. And people will say, well, I want to rank up. I want to have this many of this level. I want. But those people don't show up on book club. They don't show up on team calls. They don't show up on these things. And with work, and I think most of us that are on here have been in some form of work, and with work you have team meetings, you have continuing ed, you have different things. If you don't go to those, you don't get promoted. In fact, you get written up, you can lose your job, you can have everything taken from you. So when you're not doing those things, if you're not growing, you're not doing the personal growth, you're not showing up on these things, you're not being seen as a leader, you're not doing these little bitty things that add up to big things, you don't have those rewards on those short-term sacrifices, which they turn out to not be a sacrifice, because really an hour out of 24 hours times 7 days, I'm not doing the math right now, that's diddly squat. And so when we talk about return on investment, think about the percentage of return that you're getting for that little bit, and it's not just talking about the book, it's connecting with your other leaders, it's seeing these faces, it's connecting with these people, especially now with the world as weird as it is. We don't get to see real people a lot of times. So we talk on the phone or these things. So getting to connect, it is big. So just thinking about what little things we're willing to do, what we would do for a job. And frankly, this is a job. It's fun, it's growth, but it is a job nonetheless. So treat it that way, and you're going to get a lot more return out of it.
So true. So real quick, another side note on sacrifice here. As we were talking about it, I hear everybody saying this word think, like, oh, well, take time to think about it. Take time to think about what the sacrifice is. Take time to think about what your vision is. It's okay to start there, but you need to write that down and surround yourself with it. Put it on the, I've had people take markers or, something else and write it on their mirror in their bathroom, so that every morning when they get up to brush their teeth or do their personal hygiene, they see, like, these are my goals and this is what it's going to cost me. And it sets it in their mind's eye every day when they wake up in the morning and when they go to bed, because, most people brush their teeth before, when they wake up in the morning and when they get ready to hit the sack for the night. So, put that stuff out there, write it down, share it with those closest to you, share it with your family. Make sure your family understands, hey, listen, I'm sacrificing this because this is what I want for us. Like, don't keep that stuff selfish. Like, okay, count the cost. You need to count your cost, but don't stop there. Proclaim that to everybody who's going to be impacted by the cost that you're willing to pay, because they're going to pay a little price along the way as well. But if they know why they're doing it and why you're doing it, you're going to get bought. What's the law of buy-in, right? You're going to get buy-in from people, and they're going to support you and they're going to encourage you. So it's not enough to just say, think about it. We need to make sure that we write it down and we put it in our mind's eye every single day, when we wake up, when we go to bed. Those are the two most important times of the day, for those of you who don't know. There's a book called As a Man Thinketh, and it talks about that in there, about how you set that in your mind's eye first thing in the morning, and especially right before you go to bed. You put that in, that this is why I'm doing it. This is what I'm doing. And when you go to bed, your mind will create the pathways to achieving your goals, as long as you're continuing to put that at the forefront of your mind and keep it there. It'll be amazed how those distractions and obstacles fall away as you do that.
And the thing is too, with your family's buy-in, I mean, Matt was in the Army for 20 years, as I've just already mentioned, and we always talk about this, but a lot of that sacrifice we didn't really have a say in. You're moving here at this time. You're moving on December 14th, to Germany. Okay, thanks. There's a lot of things that happen that you just don't have any say over, right? And so when I started Plexus, and I was by no means looking for like another thing to do, I felt like I had already enough things to do, you know what I mean, with 6 kids, and number 6 was a newborn. But once I talked with Matt, and then, we talked with the kids and stuff too, like something that he said to me was, you have been there through all my military career with all the things, and I think now it's time for me to support you in this. And so that was really huge, and that was really big, and that was after he retired. He was able to stay home. It was so nice. Of course, he didn't want to stay not working and being a stay-at-home dad. He's like, I got a master's degree over here. I got lots of things to do. So he wanted to go back to work, which is fine. But that is really important to get your family involved in that, so that they can have that. You can have that support from them too, because it's really hard to be an island. It's really hard to swim upstream by yourself. Like, you want to have your spouse and your family's support. And the other thing I wanted to mention, Nicole, I got to mention this Christina thing. So Nicole and I were talking on the phone the other day, and how we all love Christina and Brittany, right? if y'all are new on here and you don't know who Christina and Brittany are, I swear I'm just gonna make a unit up about Brittany Howard in my daggone team page because she's amazing and I love her. But Christina did a call the other day and she was talking about the lies we tell ourselves and all these things. And she was talking about sacrifice, all this stuff. And she said something about, she said, you really need to raise your leadership lid, okay? She said, some of you guys have your leadership lid so low that it is like on a can of Spam. And so you guys got to watch it. I put it in Rock Your Purpose this morning. And she types out in the post, some people might say I come across a little hard or whatever. She's like, I'm just wanted to tell you guys how it is, but it's all because I love you and I want you to succeed. But, it's really so true. Like, we do have to raise our lids. If we don't know how to lead people or whatever, like, we're going to have problems in this business. I remember Fallon telling me that right around the time that I was Ruby. In fact, or right around the time when she said, we're going to do this book. And she didn't ask me if I wanted to do book club with her. She flat out said, you're doing book club with me. And I'm like, I don't have time to read. Do you know how many kids I have over here? I mean, I barely got time to read my Bible. She's like, I don't care. You're doing this book club with me. And she's like, if you're going to go Ruby, you're going to have this book. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, so here I am on this book club, figuring these things out. And it's amazing, like Taylor said too, when you twist it around and say, I get to versus, oh,
That's right.
I have to read a chapter, or whatever. It's like, change your mindset. You know me. That's all I talk about all the time is mindset.
It's important.
So Rochelle, to piggyback on that, today Brittany posted her call from Tuesday night, called Why Plexus, Why the Opportunity, and Why It's Worth It. And again, this girl had me in tears, and it came down to what we're talking about here. She talks about, and Christine talked about this in the call too, that if you think that they just hit diamond and just took a breath and just quit reaching out and quit working, you're crazy. Like, it doesn't, well, and he talks about that. It doesn't stop because you reach the top, right? Like, there actually is no top. There's always learning. Could you imagine if he had quit writing books 20 years ago? What? We would have missed out on so much. But in her video, she literally had me in tears talking about the day she went diamond and the sacrifices, and that it, how she was never really a TV watcher. And so she understands when she tells people to quit watching TV that could be hurtful to them. But she's like, if you could give up even just an hour of that habit, it just was like, what are you really giving up? Now, this is us as good, Erin, don't get me wrong, but I don't mindfully watch TV anymore. I have conversations while the TV is on. They're all in text, so it's not like I have to have a quiet room or something, but I definitely used to binge watch things, and now I sit with a TV on while I'm, and even especially like with my team, that's a great time for me to be talking with my team, because I feel like when I'm trying to do initial reach outs, I want more brain capacity, and I can't do that with music and other things on. But it just, the point of her call was that the sacrifice is going to be worth it if you know why you're doing it. And she's like, and you're not going to do it if you don't know why. And we have talked about that a lot with this book. And I love that that's post number 1, Matt, in our fences. But it really does come down to that. And Rochelle, you and I have talked about this, about not being able to go past gold without the why. Because you can get to gold pretty organically without even intentionally wanting to be a leader. But beyond that, you can't be having conversations with 20 plus people and being a good customer service and providing direction for people if you have not begun to invest in yourself and understand why you want to move forward. So I just love that Brittany put that. It wasn't a second call, but kind of like the second part, like Christina was really hard on you and Brittany came in with all the feels, and I was like, oh my gosh. Every time I watch her, she's like, I'm pregnant, I shouldn't be doing this, I'm gonna cry. And I'm like, I'm crying, no pregnancy. I was like, oh my gosh. So anyway, it was awesome. So you have to watch both. You have to make time for both those videos in the next week or so, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, there's gentlemen. So yeah.
I'll have to put Brittany's call in the same post with Christina's, and then y'all can watch them together. But yeah, Christina's like, Brittany's gonna love on y'all tomorrow night. Okay, that's not what I'm here for right now.
Good cop, bad cop.
So true, so true. And you know, you have to have your why that makes you cry. Somebody asked me what my why was the other day, and I literally burst into tears as I was telling it. I'm like, this is not good. I mean, it is good, but you know, it's not good. Then you're like a big blubbering mess everywhere. So.
It should elicit emotion. For sure.
I have to share one more thing. I know it's getting late. If people have to hop off. We want to be cognizant of your time and all of that. But yesterday or today, I can't remember. I was emptying the dishwasher. I hate putting away dishes. I hate it. I don't know why. It's stupid. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, why can't other people do this? And I'm thinking, first of all, I'm the only one home. And why am I the only one home? Because I have this amazing Plexus opportunity. And I'm thinking, here I am, I'm griping about putting away stupid dishes. And my husband is at work with grumpy people doing paperwork and all of these things that I'm like, I have a choice. I get to put away these dishes. I'm not having to do it after work, after dealing with grumpy people all day away from the home, not knowing what's going on or any of these things. So a lot of times when we're doing a task that we don't quite care for, think about it not as I have to do this, but I get to do this, and kind of reframe what you're doing. And that goes with the book clubs. It goes with the IPAs. It goes with having those hard conversations with people. Sometimes it's the walking people through detox. It's the, why do you do this kind of thing? Or the family that's like, Mom, why are you on your phone again? I get to be on my phone because I get to be able to be home with you and give you guys these opportunities. So when your family is griping about some of those things, because they do, because they want you, everybody wants you. And if we can explain, hey, because we have this opportunity and you balance it out, it makes a lot of difference. So kind of reframing those things that are difficult to, I get to do this.
Does anyone have anything else to add? Thank you for everyone who shared. It was so nice to hear that, and just to hear your thoughts and your takeaways, and you know, just the real life application of, wait, check myself. Like, am I being grateful right now for what I have and where I am? And how can I, you know, adjust my attitude going forward, or my perspective, right? It's all about perspective shift, right? I just want to open it back up just in case anyone has anything else to add.
I do kind of. I've been like trying to put together in my mind how to word this, so please bear with me if it doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't, you can just tell me to shut up. But I really am going to try to kind of make this make sense. So I keep thinking of, it's been brought up in a couple different ways about like getting to the next rank and then slowing down, or getting to the next month and being like, oh my gosh, I'm burnt out from whatever. But I think what I keep thinking of is every time you get to a new rank, or you've really pushed to get to the end of the month and you reached all these goals, and then you have to kind of start the new month, you're like, oh man, whew, I'm tired, right? You're like, that was a lot. And you realize all the sacrifices, right, that you've made to get to that point. But then with new ranks come sometimes like double the team that you had before. So it's figuring out, what are the new sacrifices that I'm going to have to make? What are the new challenges that I'm going to face that I haven't had to face before? I need to shift now and be like, okay, I've gotten to this level and now my team is this big, and now these different things are going to be asked of me. So sometimes it's reprioritizing and readjusting so that we know how we're going to maintain that rank as well, or maintain the growth we've had in that month as well, because it can be fast, especially it happens at every single rank. I will tell you that every single rank that I've hit, I'm like, okay, this is a new leadership lid, or a new leadership experience, or a new thing that I've learned. But also, especially in the beginning, and especially if you grow fast, like the people now that are getting to gold, like very, very quickly, that's a lot. And so a lot of times we have to help them kind of buy in and realize, like, these sacrifices, it feels like you're on your phone way more than you used to be. It feels like you're doing all these other things that you never have had to do. You're used to having your nights doing all these different things, and they have to learn to buy in, because there are going to be new sacrifices as we grow, and we're growing fast the way that Plexus has everything set up right now. So just remembering that we've got to shift, adjust, pivot, whatever word you want to use, and figure out what new sacrifices to make to either get yourself to the next rank, because if you've been somewhere for a while and you want to be to the next level, you have to say, like, okay, I've been doing this, but maybe I need to do more here or more here, and sacrifice this and this and this to get to that next level. Or, man, I haven't been maintaining. What did I do to get here? What did I sacrifice to get myself back to where I was, so that I can maintain and then grow again? So that's my thought on sacrifice, is that it's always kind of shifting and adjusting, especially as you grow, and especially as quickly as we've all been growing too.
Yeah, I have to just piggyback on that really fast too. Nicole and I were just talking about this the other night, or the other day. It's like detox for your business, right? Like there's your detox when you're taking the products and you're like, oh, I got to get through this headache or whatever it is. And then detox does not just happen one time. It's layers. So it's the same thing with our businesses. We got to get through that detox of, holy crap, what just happened? I'm all of a sudden gold. I don't even know how am I supposed to keep up with all these three-way chats, and what on earth is happening here? And then, but you just keep doing all the simple daily things that lead to that massive success, right? But it's those layers of detox, and it's like you come around to that every now and again. And listen, we all have it. We all have it. All of us sapphires on here. Fallon has the diamond. Annie Diamond's on Pink Power. Brittany Howard, that we love so much. Brooke Hemingway. We all have the struggles. We all feel overwhelmed. We all feel burnt out. We all feel spread thin. We're all like, oh my gosh, Lord Jesus, help us over here. But we just have to get through that detox. So I wanted to say that. I need to make a video on that. And if my voice ever comes back, I would like to make normal videos again. But anyways, here we are. Nicole, you were going to say something.
You may need your megaphone for those videos.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just saying, I'm like you losing my voice over here, but yelling at my 2 kids. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have 8 kids, but I'm losing my voice like Rochelle. I thought of you yesterday.
Don't yell, because your voice will definitely be gone if you're yelling. I'm like, literally, listen, it's Bible time in the morning. I'm like, all right, it's time to get the Bible and the microphone and the spanking spoon, because y'all are not listening. So I have to hold up the spanking spoon so that they'll sit still, and I got the megaphone out and the Bible. I'm like, this is not good. Like, I don't even know. I can't believe I just said that on a recording. Don't anybody tell anybody I said that.
Oh my gosh. What I was going to come in with while Lauren finished was when he was talking about the 3 R's, and he talks about at the end of every year reevaluating, right? And he talks about taking time to really think about that. Again, on one of Brittany's calls, which had me in tears. I know it's 7:10. Okay, sorry, 10:10 for you all. But the thing that she mentioned was that we need to take a breath, a pause. We do finish every month, no matter what that month looks like, whether it was 1 join or 22 joins or 31 joins on your team. We all have to finish a month and finish it well to the very end, right? And then she said there has to be a pause. And it's not a pause for 7 days to think about what's happened, but a pause to at least reflect on I can't remember what she said, but it was like 3 things because she's always alliterative like that. But it was pretty much, what did you do well? What did you say you were going to do that you didn't do? So obviously you didn't do that part well. And then where did you finish? Like, how did it all end? And then reset, pivot, whatever you want to call it, and make the new goals. You can't really make you can make goals, you know, like I want to be diamond by, but she said every beginning of the first of the month, you have to set your mind to some really specific tasks and goals. And you can't do that without looking at what you did and how well it did or didn't work. And really being honest with yourself. That was the other thing. She's like, did you really do the work, or were you just busy? So anyway, that's, I mean, like he mentioned that, like taking time at the end of every year. And for us, it's a little bit different because our business is a month to month sort of thing. So anyway, that's what I was going to share. No megaphone needed. No kids to be yelling at over here.
I love that, Nicole. And actually, I wanted to add too, and maybe this is because of Matt, but I view everything when I am talking to my team now, my leaders, I view everything in terms of a bank account. You have deposits and you have withdrawals. And you always want to be adding, you developing and adding credit to your bank account, right? So you're in the positive. And that's what I was just explaining to another teammate, was like, think of it as like a bank account, and you have your positives and you have your negative and, your deposits and withdrawals. And same with like sacrifice. Okay. So I have a scale, and, what I visualize is, okay, with each new rank, with each new month, that scale is going to teeter one way or another. And now I have to find what do I need to do to balance this? Because Lauren is so right. It's growing pains at every single rank. You have growing pains, is a nice way to put it. And, my team for example, we hit Ruby. We I feel like we crashed and burned. And so now it's like, okay, what do we need to do to adjust our sales, adjust the scale, whatever analogy you want to give here? What do we need to do to adjust to create balance for everyone, so we're not finishing the end of the month and burnout? And how do we maintain this new level of rank, like Lauren said, and just keep moving forward? So I hope that these 2 chapters and our book club and recap and everything was valuable to you. And I leave feedback on the post too when we post it to Rock Your Purpose, so people will watch this. I feel like these 2 chapters are just so good. It's full of a lot of information. At first, when I was reading it, I'm like, this is heavy stuff, I feel like, and then you just have to dissect it. But thank you so much, Matt, for giving that recap. I know we all appreciate you on here every week. All right, we can go ahead and stop the recording.